Welcome to The Neutral Zone, presented by the Feels Like 99 podcast. I'm your host, Drake Kizer, and I am joined today by my co-host, Caleb and Andrew Waters.
What's up? Good to be back for episode 2 of the Neutral Zone. I know it's been a little bit since the inaugural episode, but I'm excited to see what we got here.
Episode 2. See how this goes. You guys ready?
Number 2. So we have a lot of different things that we want to talk about. But first, we've got to start off by mentioning that our co-host, Andrew, is actually going to be a full-time co-host on this show. We did not mention that in the first episode of the Neutral Zone, but the decision was made immediately after the first episode that on this show, he's going to be our full-time co-host. So this is a 3-man booth for the Neutral Zone always. So we are glad to add him to the team, the podcast team. But to start off our topics for today, we actually have a little bit of XFL talk. So what was you guys' opinion on the XFL announcement this week?
I love it.
Very excited. I can't wait.
I think it's going to be very exciting to kind of see maybe what another football league, actually in another American football league, can bring to the table. Because really, other than the NFL, all that we have is Canadian football, and it's just so different.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about the XFL, although I'm not very familiar with the 2001 version of it. I hope it competes directly with the NFL, but I'm afraid that it's going to turn into like a minor league system for the NFL.
Yeah, the only thing that was like the big issue with the 2001 version, which I think they're trying to rectify this time around, is the fact that it was pretty much announced and then they started play within just months of the league's kind of creation. So I think what they're trying to do this time is work out more of the logistics kind of to eliminate the idea of kind of like of what you said of almost being like minor league or just, crappy football, because really only a handful of guys from the original XFL ever actually played down in the NFL before or after the league. So I think they're really trying to kind of work out a system to where within a couple of years, maybe they can actually have some quality football that will try and compete. I'm not sure if they're going to have their season go on during the spring or during the fall and try to go like straight up head to head. I don't know that that's been officially announced or not yet.
They said that they were going to go like directly after the Super Bowl is what I last heard.
That would really be smart.
You think so?
I think so, because I mean, what do you think, Andrew? Do you think there needs to be like, try to have something else other than just baseball throughout kind of like that springtime?
Yes, I'm definitely all for that because so many people love football, and the point from the first week of February to like whenever, August, September, it's a long time, and I'm a huge baseball fan, but a lot of people aren't. So that's a way to keep a lot of people occupied in the off season for sure.
Well, because I feel like that a lot of people don't really watch the three of us are like actually like baseball fans, so we'll watch the games for regular season or not. But a lot of people don't even get into baseball until closer to the postseason. And I feel like the same thing happens in the NBA too, because the beginning of the season is right up against the NFL. So I just don't think hardly anybody can compete with what the NFL brings. And like you said, Andrew, there's so much time without football during those months that I really think that somebody could kind of squeeze in and kind of capitalize on that market share of people that are waiting for the NBA playoffs to begin. Baseball fans maybe that aren't totally invested in the regular season, but were kind of waiting for the postseason. And everybody in America already loves football. So if there was more to watch, I think everybody would be watching it regardless.
I don't know. I think, don't get me wrong, I'll take all the football I can get, so it really doesn't matter when it starts for me. But I just can't believe that they wouldn't do it. It's a 10-week season plus the postseason, so it's maybe a 3-month season, 2.5 months, whatever. But why would you not go from like April to like June and to the end of July? I just don't understand why you wouldn't do that, because I feel like that's when most dead time is, at least for me, anyways.
Yeah, I do definitely agree. I think if they were going to try and go like right after the Super Bowl, that might be a little bit too early. I think me and Andrew kind of were thinking more of what you were thinking, kind of more toward the actual spring, not necessarily the end of the winter.
Do you think it'll be like an audition for the NFL in a sense?
It really could be almost like, okay, so if it's before college football, but after the previous season, and if it's after the NFL draft, if you didn't start it until a little bit like in April, that would be the only thing is I'm like, it would almost have to be after the NFL's draft because then all the guys that didn't get drafted could go play in the XFL. And it could almost be like, kind of like you're saying, like try out, maybe even at one day, like take the place of the preseason. Like if they go play there, kind of show off their stuff, and then they could kind of parlay that success into a training camp spot and maybe try and make an NFL team. But if they have really restrictive contracts, that's the same thing that happens in Canada. I've seen a bunch of players complaining that like they can't get out of their contracts.
It's just something, I guess, that'll work out with time. But do you guys think that they should be able to take guys that were just freshmen in college and take them and let them play? Like, if their season ends in January and then they could turn around and play in like April, do you guys think they should be able to do that?
That is definitely an interesting discussion. Like, what is the kind of like the age limit almost? Like, could there be no age limit? Like, who are the players that are going to be in this league? Like, what age range are they? I mean, could this be like almost like semi-pro kind of thing? Or
Could I go out after my senior season next year?
See, go straight to the XFL.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have a problem with it because if you play in college, you have a really good freshman year and you run for like 1,500 yards as a running back, you're probably NFL ready, or I guess for this XFL ready as well. So, I mean, I think you should be able to go get paid.
I mean, it's almost kind of like the whole NBA debate. It's like some of these freshmen that come in off the street, they're not ready at all. And it's the same thing in college football. You know, true freshmen play all the time. Some of them completely flop. And then others of them look like they could go play on, you know, if we're talking about NFL, play on Sundays. And then if it's the XFL, whatever day that they would play on. So I don't know. I mean, you really could kind of make the argument that if they do have a fantastic freshman season in college football, maybe right after the season, they could go play in the XFL kind of before they're eligible for the NFL draft. But something else that we kind of wanted to do to talk a little bit more about the XFL, maybe get into a little fantasy talk, would be we're going to try and draft our quarterback, wide receiver, and running back for our fantasy XFL teams. So if the three of us were the people running the XFL teams, three players that we would be really trying to target and bring in to get the best on field and I guess on social media and everything else like that type of success. So who wants to go first in picking their quarterback?
I'll let Rue have this one.
All right. I know the hot choice here is probably Johnny Manziel. I'm going to take something a little younger, a guy that I think probably has just as much, if not more, talent in Baker Mayfield.
I like that choice.
Interesting.
I think that he could be someone that would kind of show out in a league like the XFL, you know, with maybe a little bit less restriction, can kind of air it out a little bit depending on what type of rules that they play with. I could see that. Caleb, you want to take your quarterback?
Sure. This is definitely not on either of your lists, 100%. My pick, if we're picking for the XFL, no NFL guys, Zach Mettenberger. I think he would be really good.
Oh, okay. I like that. Same kind of thing. I feel like maybe he could show off a little bit more of the he was supposed to be like the next Ben Roethlisberger, so maybe he could show off a little bit more of that in a more open environment. So for my quarterback pick, I'm going to take a guy that I know very well from going to Western Kentucky. He showed out in the Senior Bowl the other day through the opening touchdown, and that is Western's former quarterback, Mike White. I think that he would fare very well in the type of offenses that I think the XFL is going to be running, which is pretty much throw every down, run the ball very little, maybe screens or something like that. And, you know, he's had a lot of success in kind of a air raid type of offense. So I think he'd be lighting up the scoreboard in the XFL.
You want to do like a snake draft pretty much?
Yeah, that's fine. I guess if it's my turn for wide receivers, I'm going to dig somebody out of retirement here. This is going to be one that I bet neither of you have thought of, or hopefully not. Have to think of somebody else. I'm going to try and lure Calvin Johnson out of retirement.
Ooh, I like that. Still a young guy.
Has a lot of years left and a lot of miles still left on those legs because he quit playing so early.
I guess it's my turn, so I know this one's on neither of your lists. In 2012, he got kicked off of Tennessee's football team. Drake Rogers.
Ooh.
He was, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people's opinions as well, he was like they had Cordero Patterson, who's on the Raiders, and Justin Hunter, who's on the Steelers now. A lot of people said he was the best out of the group, and he never truly got his shot in the NFL. I think he'd really excel in the XFL. So, yeah, that's my pick. David Ricky.
That our buddy Jim would love that pick. Caleb and Jim love Derek Rogers.
Yes. Yeah, he may never know that I picked him, though.
All right, my wide receiver pick. Actually, this is more skill and a little publicity. I have a package deal right here. We saw them in the national championship. They both looked outstanding. It is Calvin and Riley Ridley. I want them both.
Ooh. Little brother duo.
Unique. Good pick, though.
Riley showed Calvin up in the national championship, so might have a little competition there.
Who'd you guys pick for your running backs?
So we said we could not choose anybody that played in the NFL. This guy's a straight-up athlete. I'm sure he can do anything he ever wanted to. So for my running back pick, I took the king, LeBron James.
This time shuts him off. Shot clock down to 5. James fires a 3. Bang! LeBron James from well beyond the arc.
Oh. We didn't say couldn't be another sport athlete.
Oh, man. If that's the case, I might as well take Admiral Schofield from Tennessee, but that's not what I'm going to take. I'm going to take his name's Ricky. You guys might know him. Played for the Miami Dolphins for a little bit. Played at Texas. Ricky Williams is my pick.
Ooh. That's another one kind of like Calvin Johnson, still probably has some miles left.
Yeah. I think it was an okay pick.
I like that. Definitely some publicity, too. So for my running back, this one was really a tough one, and we can do honorable mention for somebody that we didn't pick here in a second, but it came down to production and someone that I really think would produce on the field in a really fast-paced game. Let's see if you guys remember Drake Archer from Kent State. One of the fastest people I have ever seen on a football field other than Chris Johnson, and completely busted in the NFL, mostly due to just off the field and personal issues and things like that. But maybe it could be time to give him another chance. I mean, look at Josh Gordon this season in the NFL. So we could see what happens with old Drake Archer in the XFL.
Thought you had a double take there. I thought you said old Chris Archer. Thankfully not.
The pitcher for the Rays. So who are you guys honorable mention? Who's someone that you kind of wanted but didn't get to pick in these top three?
Chad Ochocinco was my second receiver pick.
Ooh, I like that.
I also had Randy Moss on the list, but
he might be a little too old now, and he's eligible for the Hall of Fame now, so he might not want to reset his Hall of Fame clock.
I would agree.
So one of my honorable mention running backs. So this one's a little more serious, not LeBron, but I took Monte Ball from Wisconsin.
He had his little day in the sun in the NFL. Not for long, though.
The Broncos have had some bad running backs. Monte Ball, Noshawn Marino. You guys remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. he cried those full tears. You remember that?
Oh, yes.
Yep.
And waterfall tears.
He's probably crying because was about to get cut.
He played for the Dolphins right after that, I think. Or maybe, wasn't it the Dolphins that he went to?
I have no idea. I forgot about him after his rookie year.
So, speaking of rookies, that was two of my honorable mentions. Because remember, I took Mike White as my quarterback. So, two other rookie running back and receivers. Someone that our pal TJ down at Memphis would know, Anthony Miller, wide receiver from Memphis.
I thought about that.
He absolutely balled out. I read this stat today. Over the last 2 seasons, he averages 16 touchdowns, 1,400 yards, and almost 100 catches a season. So that's the type of wide receiver I definitely want on my team. And then for running back, I was actually looking at Kerryon Johnson from Auburn. He had 18 touchdowns this season, almost 1,400 yards, almost 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, he was good. That was a good pick.
Yeah, either of those, I think, would really work out. I'm not sure that both of them, how they'll fare in the NFL, because both of them have varying NFL draft stock, which I think is crazy. I just don't understand how players get assessed. You know what I mean? People have such crazy stats and then get taken low.
Maybe that's something the XFL can take advantage of. That's something else I was thinking about. As we get to talk about this, are they going to have an XFL draft in 2 years when it actually starts? And let's say say some guy from like USC is the top pick. What if he gets taken like number one in both leagues? What do you do?
Well, see, that would kind of be like, I think it was the USFL that had that same kind of issue. Like they took, like Steve Young played in the USFL, Reggie White played in the USFL, like a bunch of like really good like future Hall of Famers played in a league other than the NFL and might have actually like played their whole career there if it hadn't like went out of business. So if you can offer the money and offer the playing time and the competition, like I don't know why, kind of like you're saying, maybe if there was a top pick that he might have like a legitimate decision to make between playing in one league or the other.
Very interesting to see what folds out here.
If you guys could pick one thing to change about the NFL, that like about the game of football in general, I mean, this could be college, NFL, whatever, and like make sure that the XFL gets it right, what would it be?
They need to just get like catch rules right and all that kind of stuff. Like all the controversial calls in the NFL, they need to just make it easier for everybody.
I definitely agree with that. The whole debate it seems like it's every single game. We used to talk about this like once a season, but now it's like every game we're talking about, is this a catch? Is that a catch? Did he make a football move? Did the ball move an inch while he was shuffling his toe to the side? Like, it's just ridiculous.
Never touched him. That's a catch.
I'm going to say they got to cut back on the targeting. I mean, I can understand if this dude's straight up gunning, like taking headshots, but if he's just trying to make a football play and his head comes in a little high, I mean, it sucks when you see a dude get thrown out for something like that. Or they only get thrown out if it's intentional, don't they?
Yeah, it's kind of a dicey situation with like how they're doing it. Like NFL's one rule and college is another. Like I feel like they've got to find a happy medium because like you're saying in the NFL, hardly anybody ever gets kicked out. But then in college, everybody gets kicked out. So it's like there's got to be something better than this. My rule that I would change, I guess, for like something that I just hate in the NFL/college right now, anything that relates to like player equipment and stuff like this. I thought about this during the Pro Bowl today. I don't care what color cleats they wear, gloves, socks, visors, chains, dreads, like they, like hoodies under their pads, whatever. Like if we're talking about the XFL and trying to like set themselves apart and be different, let players that are in your league show some personality. Like one of the lasting things of the original XFL is the jersey where they could put whatever they wanted on the back and his jersey said, "He hate me." And that was like one of those like big things that everybody remembers about the original XFL was that they could put whatever they wanted on their nameplate that wasn't necessarily their name. And so just stuff like that, just like they call the NFL the no fun league for a reason. And it's just because they really stifle the players' creativities and personalities. And like, I don't care about stupid touchdown dances. Like I'm talking about, style, swag, like their accessories and stuff. Like let them wear whatever they want.
I think that's a great fix. A great fix and an easy fix.
I mean, I get where the NFL is coming from, but at the same time, like you said, it is the no fun league. So there is things that can be changed to really, like you said, set the XFL apart, and they should do anything they can to get a step on the NFL, if you ask me.
Well, I think they're taking a little bit of a hardline stance against the whole national anthem protest. And, I've seen lots of stuff where Vince McMahon's been saying, like, this is in response to all that. Like, they don't want guys that are criminals or people that disrespect the flag and all this other stuff. Like, I don't know. I feel like some of that stuff will be relaxed a little bit. It's kind of like making a statement here at first. But once all that kind of controversy dies down, I feel like that probably won't be an issue. And that's really just trying to appeal to what they think would be like the common football fan and what they care about, because supposedly that's why the NFL is losing ratings, even though I don't think that's true. But I think that's just kind of like the topic of the day. You know what I mean? Like that, all that stuff will go away eventually.
Literally, like anything that the NFL does that's kind of controversial, the XFL should do the opposite.
I think that's pretty much the consensus right now. Everybody's giving these suggestions like whatever the NFL does, just don't do that.
So, speaking of the NFL, also known as the No Fun League, the Pro Bowl was earlier today. Did you guys get a chance to see highlights or anything like that, or watch it live?
I caught a little bit of it when I was out at lunch today. Pretty busy day for me, but I was able to saw some highlights.
I was able to watch most of it. I was doing a little bit of laundry, kind of buzzing around, stuff like that. But me and my roommates were able to sit down and watch most of it. And to be honest, I was actually very impressed by the actual quality of the on-field play.
Yeah, I mean, it was an actual. It wasn't like the NBA All-Star game where they were just like goofing off, I think.
Well, what really impressed me too was just like, I know that nobody wants to get hurt, and I don't want to see people getting like decapitated in the Pro Bowl or something, but I just saw plenty of different hits. I mean, I was obviously watching all the Titans players, of course, but one hit in particular that really kind of like stood out to me, not that it was like dirty or malicious or anything, but on one of those throws down the sideline when I think it was Jared Goff that was in there, was throwing to, or maybe it was even still Drew Brees, throwing down the field to Thielen, and Kevin Byard came in there with Aqib Talib and really just kind of laid just a good hit to him, kind of knocked the ball out, good stuff. And, you know, that really did, that kind of impressed me. I saw Jarrell Casey getting in there, mixing it up. Geno Atkins from the Bengals, kind of like actually getting some good sacks and good tackles and good hits. Like, you know, I don't want to see people get hurt in the Pro Bowl for sure. I know none of the guys want to get hurt, but no one wants to see, and I know that guys don't want to play in just a sloppy, crappy game. Like, it looked to me like at least mattered a little bit.
And it really should. I mean, they do get a bonus for it. It is for money.
Exactly. And it's like all the best guys. I mean, it's just like any other all-star game. Like these guys, the best players especially, like you think they don't know each other and like talk to each other and kind of like, you know, yeah, you know guys on your own team, but like you know guys from other teams and like you all are kind of buddies and like maybe you have like a little like funny rivalry or something or whatever. Or, you know, it's just fun to get out there and play with all the best guys.
Yeah, I personally think it's really cool when you see all these stars from all these different teams get together and it's like they all just have fun together and it's like they enjoy playing with each other this one time a year. I just think it's really cool to see that, and it's cool.
Andrew, did you see the video of Taylor Lewan? He was all very active on social media as always, but he posted a video, I think it was on his Instagram story, of the sideline, and it was him and Villanueva from the Steelers and then Richie Incognito from the Bills. And so it was kind of like just some linemen like messing around, stuff like that. And then he was showing Ben Roethlisberger from the Steelers, and they were kind of messing with him. Like, it really did. It just seemed like these guys were just old buddies.
Yeah, he was keeping it live on his Instagram story today and everything. I love it.
You know, it wouldn't shock me if, like, I don't think that Taylor Lewan would leave the Titans, but I think that he would really recruit some of those guys he's close with, because I know he's pretty close with Incognito.
Yeah, I think that some of these guys kind of take this as an opportunity to really kind of like network, because I saw throughout this week that Kevin Byard was like all types of like buddying up with Eric Weddle. Like he was on his story a couple of different times. I saw today before the game that Eric Weddle had like signed a jersey for him, basically saying, you know, like very more than friendly, you know what I mean? Like saying like, love you, bro, and like, you know, hope you have great success in your career and all this other stuff. Like, I really do feel like a lot of guys take this as a chance to like network and learn a lot from like the older veterans of the league.
Did you guys happen to see ESPN's Instagram story today?
No, I didn't. What was on it?
Former volunteer Alvin Kamara took it over pregame. It was really neat just seeing his little routine. He was eating his airheads, putting it in his grill. He was chilling with like Gurley and Mark Ingram. It was a really cool thing to see.
We also have to mention that the newest meme in the blown lead chronicles is the NFC blew a 20-3 halftime lead in this Pro Bowl. We're talking about like the quality of the game. I thought it was going to be a blowout, but then the AFC came out and scored like 21 unanswered.
Yeah, I mean, that's I don't know if it's just like a collapse or what, but hey, I'll take it. You know,
Yeah,
Titans
I
are in
mean,
the AFC, so
I was very impressed with the performance of all of the Titans players. I know this obviously isn't like feels like 99, but I mean, we've got to talk about this. I mean, all the three of us are Titans fans. Like Delaney Walker getting offensive MVP and then Von Miller getting defensive MVP for the AFC. Like, that's just a big stage for the Titans and just for, you know, fans in general. Like, a lot of guys don't even know who Delaney Walker is. I really feel like they don't. Like, if you don't watch a lot of Titans, you don't even know who he is. Like, if I wasn't a Titans fan, after today, today, I'd be like, wow, this dude, I don't even know who he is. Like, look up highlights, and like, I'm sure he earned a lot of respect around the league with his performance today.
And as he should. He really should.
He's a great dude. I don't think there's anybody that has anything to do with the Titans that has a bad thing to say about Delaney Walker.
And like you said, Delaney Walker, the offensive MVP. Well, I just watched a little interview with the defensive MVP, Von Miller, and he charged his room service to Kareem Hunt's room. What are your thoughts on that?
So did he say how much it was? Like what kind of charge that he ran up?
No, I think he just said he charged it.
I've heard a lot of guys doing stuff like that. I actually heard a really funny story today. It was talking about guys, because obviously none of the Eagles or Patriots are at the Pro Bowl. So a lot of guys and like current and former players were talking about having played with Bill Belichick, like whenever he coached the Pro Bowl. And it was Tony Gonzalez, the former Falcons tight end. And he was saying that, obviously in the Pro Bowl, there's no like backups. So everybody has to play special teams. Like the special teams that they do play, everybody has to do it. So like Tony Gonzalez hadn't played special teams in like 15 years, he doesn't do that. So like he gets in on kickoff or something and like doesn't block anybody and then just like jogs off onto the sideline. And then Belichick is like, oh, like, come on, Gonzalez, like, do you ever block anybody? And was like grumbling and like really, really mad at him and stuff. And Gonzalez was saying like, well, like, what are you talking about? Like, this is a Pro Bowl. Like, I don't care. And all this other stuff. Like, I just thought that was funny.
That's awesome. I love when things like that happen, especially with like the rookie hazing that's still going on. I like that. I think it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in good fun. You know that these guys, I've seen Titans players and stuff, like they'll go out to dinner and they'll run up like a $2,000 charge at the bar or something. And they're like, all right, Rook, like pick that one up. That's just good fun.
Do you think that was funny, Roo?
Yes.
They've all got enough money anyway. Even the rookies have got enough, so.
Yes, they do. No joke.
There were definitely some, like, surprising players in the Pro Bowl. And something that really surprised me about the Pro Bowl is that the Titans actually were tied with a couple other teams with 6 players in the Pro Bowl. The Steelers had 8. No surprise. I mean, the league loves the Steelers anyway. But, like, I think that was the reason that the AFC was down so much in the first half. Like, I don't know if either of you guys saw it at the very beginning, but, like, Ben was just spamming. It was like Madden with, like, the X receiver. He was just throwing to Antonio Brown every single play, and Patrick Peterson was just picking him apart because it was like every single play they just throw to Antonio Brown.
Those Steelers, man.
It was ridiculous. I'm like,
hey, go ahead and tell our listeners what the score of our first game was this weekend.
Or should I tell them the score of the next 3?
3. We only played 3.
We played 4, homie.
No. Yeah, we did.
The truth comes out.
Yeah, I waxed him, y'all.
I waxed him the next 3 times, though.
Tell them about our MLB The Show game, right?
Nah, that was BS. This is a football podcast.
Drake, it was your Chicago Cubbies. Wax them.
This is a football podcast. Can we get back to the football?
I'll leave it at this. I hit it's like the second pitch of the game. I hit one over.
That's how you know. That just sets the tone right there, of course. We're not even going to talk about this weekend's Madden contest with me and Jim. Like, we're not even going to talk about that. He absolutely waxed me in every game that we played. Like,
are you serious?
I mean, it's just terrible. Like, you know how he is. Like, you just can't mess him up sometimes. Like, he gets on a rhythm and he, like, user picks you, like, 5 times. I'm about ready to throw the controller.
Throw it at him because it makes you so freaking mad.
I know. I've seen you mad at it.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the worst people to play Madden with because I laugh and I'm very obnoxious. And then when I lose, I get angry.
Oh, gosh. It's funny, though. But moving on from the Madden talk, I don't think anybody wants to talk video games around here because none of us are any good. So I think what our biggest topic of this week is this coming up Sunday, because this is Sunday we're talking about right now. Like we said, the Pro Bowl was earlier today. This is the 28th. But next Sunday will be the Super Bowl. And it's going to be the Eagles and the Patriots. And there's tons of different storylines. People have been trying to flesh out this 2-week period of no football. Well, I guess just the Pro Bowl. And, trying to make storylines almost out of nothing for this game. So, kind of before we get into our picks and predictions and stuff, how are you guys feeling about this one? What are you guys thinking about this matchup?
Well, I have a couple thoughts on it. My first thought is I'm sad because it's the last football game of the year. And my other thought is I'm sad once again because it should be the Titans. I know we got beat by the Patriots pretty well, but you never know what might have happened if those momentum swinging calls were for the Titans.
I feel you. What about you, Andrew?
I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup. I think it should be a good game. Although I'm with Caleb, it should be the Titans.
I definitely agree with both of you. I'd say my main thought is I feel like I already know the outcome. I don't want to go into it with that thought, though, just because that takes away from the game. We were talking about the other night, me and my roommates, and I just have the feeling that this Super Bowl is either going to go one of two ways. This is either going to go like their matchup in the Super Bowl 13 years ago, which was a 24-21, like nail biter, really close, or this is going to be a Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl, and it's going to be a snooze fest from the word go, which I hope it's not, but I definitely feel like it has the potential to be that.
See, my thoughts here are I follow a lot of, Boston sports media people. They are acting like everything I've read, they're acting like the Patriots are like playing like a freaking peewee team. And they've done that with every game this postseason. So I know they've won each of their games or else they would be eliminated, but I'm so tired of hearing the Patriots are playing this guy, like Nick Foles, like whatever. Like I mean, you guys know I hate the Patriots as much as the next guy, but it's not going to be the way I think a lot of people think it's going to be.
Well, one thing that really kind of excites me, just from the Titan fan perspective, I'm almost looking more at like however the Eagles perform offensively, because obviously I know Chip Kelly's not there anymore, but I still feel like they have like shades of that type of offense, and I know that they still run a lot of the RPOs and stuff like that, and they like to kind of air it out while also running it too. We know that they love the run game. Obviously, they've got Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount, and I think that's another intriguing storyline as well, with obviously Blount going up against his former team, which he tore up every postseason with the Patriots. So there's definitely lots of intriguing storylines, but I do feel like there is some scouting purposes. Maybe if this is the offense that the Titans kind of plan on running next year with their next offensive coordinator and Mike Vrabel as the head coach, if they really could pull out a victory against these juggernaut Patriots, kind of like you're talking about, Caleb, everybody just giving them this like coronation already before the game's even played. If they could pull out the victory running the type of offense that we want to run, who's to say that next year we couldn't be in the AFC Championship game putting the Patriots out?
I sure hope so.
I hope so too. But talking about a few more storylines here, the Patriots are wearing their white jerseys in the Super Bowl, which they have never lost in. They're undefeated in white. They're trying to stay undefeated in white. The Eagles are obviously going to be wearing green. Right now, the line, which obviously is moving because we're far out from the game at this point, but as last I checked, the line was the Patriots are about 4.5-point favorites, which is actually relatively close, a lot closer than the lines I've seen the rest of this postseason. And the over-under right now is at about 48. So how are we feeling about that line and over-under?
I don't know, dude. It's gonna move. You're gonna have to ask me, in 5 days or so. But I don't know. I've learned that like lines can be super accurate or not super accurate. So, Andrew, what are your thoughts?
I could see it being a really high-scoring game. I could see it being a really low-scoring game. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. Anything can happen.
I think that the 48 over-under is probably a little bit high, I would say. I don't think it's going over 48 at all because, like I said, their last matchup was 24-21, and I think it could probably sit around there again. I think it has that potential, but just the way that they've played this postseason, I don't think the Eagles are going to let themselves just get absolutely trounced or something. So if that's the over-under for this game, I would be betting the under.
So if you're betting the under, who are you picking to win?
If I was actually going to bet the under, then I would take the Eagles. If this is a high-scoring contest, I don't think that the Eagles and Nick Foles can go toe-to-toe with the Patriots. But just like logistically speaking, I don't think that it's going to be a shootout, which I think will favor the Eagles.
Andrew, who are you picking?
My heart tells me Eagles, but my mind tells me Patriots.
I hope that this, all the stories of the Patriots dynasty that were supposed to, come crashing down, I hope it really happens. The more that the Patriots win, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, you should love their greatness. No, you shouldn't. How many other teams have gotten in trouble for cheating in the NFL that you remember?
Not in the same way that they have. I really can't even think of another one that's gotten caught cheating like that.
See, that's what I'm saying. So until they are like done being good, which could be soon, could be not, who knows, honestly. I will always root against them, so I am picking the Eagles by 50.
Based on that prediction, how about we do our score picks? What do we think that the actual final score is going to be like for real?
I don't know. I mean, it's going to come down to a last-second play, so I'm going to say like 34-31 because it's not like the Eagles can't score points, so taking the Eagles by 3 if I'm really picking.
I'm
Andrew?
not sure you're giving the Eagles defense enough credit there.
I might not be, but we'll
I
see.
mean, but then again, they haven't played Tom Brady yet. So let's see. Let me think. I'm going to
Hey,
go.
that cut on his hand might hold him out of the game.
You got the stitches out this week.
I'm going to say 24-20 Patriots.
Ooh, almost an
Drake,
exact
what you think?
replica of their previous score. I'm gonna say, let's see. I was taking the under on the 48, and I was gonna pick the Eagles. So I think this one might be a relatively low-scoring Super Bowl. So I'm gonna take this one at 24-17. I really think that Eagles defense is going to show out, and I think they might actually get to Brady, which will keep the scoring down. But I'm definitely ready to be completely wrong on my prediction. Here's something to think about. So, if we are all completely wrong and the Patriots win this one, this will be their 6th Super Bowl for Belichick and Brady both. But thinking from the coaching perspective, Bill Belichick will have 6 NFL championships. Nick Saban has 6 NCAA championships, BCS, whatever, playoffs, all right. College football championships, he has 6. And Belichick has 6 NFL championships. Obviously, Nick Saban is kind of from the Belichick tree. You know, they were assistants together, and, you know, he was the head coach of the Browns. Saban was an assistant. They have a very kind of similar path, just in 2 different leagues. So, in you guys' opinion, if the 2 of them after this game each have 6 championships each in their respective leagues, whose 6 are more impressive and why?
Well, before we get into picking, I just want to ask you guys, have you seen the stat where, like, I guess since Saban won his first national championship, Saban and Belichick have not won a championship in the same year
I did not see that.
with all of their
That's
combined
unique.
championships.
Huh.
One or the other, neither. Rarely neither, though.
That's interesting. I mean, a lot of Belichick's 6 were before Saban was even at Alabama, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But they've also been in 2 that they've lost, so I don't know. I mean, that is definitely an interesting stat. So back to the question, though. What do we think?
I think it's got to be Saban because you Tom Brady's been there almost just as long as Belichick. So if that's the case, I'm looking at this like if college football was like the NFL and you could sign your quarterback and have him for however long. Nick Saban has won like 6 national titles with probably like at least 4 different quarterbacks, right?
Oh, yeah, it might even be a different one for almost every one because he rarely wins 2 or 3 in a row.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. He's won 6 with all kinds of different players, and the Patriots have won their 6. Well, will it be 6 or is it already 6?
It will be 6. If they win this game, it will be 6.
So I think Nick Saban's is better.
See, I agree. I also say Nick Saban because in the NFL, a player, he's going to go wherever he gets drafted, but it's different in college. Like, Nick Saban's got to recruit. He's got to lure the players away from Clemson and any other big-name school, any other school in the SEC. I mean, he's competing for the best players every day, and he manages to get them, and he develops them into winners. And I think that's highly impressive.
You know, I would definitely agree with you guys, and I don't think either of you are wrong at all, and I don't really know that there's necessarily a right answer to this, but since you guys both said Saban, I'll play a little devil's advocate here, and I'll say Belichick, because the reason, so let's hear it out, just so we can see both sides of this and let the listeners decide what they think. So in the NFL, like you guys are saying, players are signed, they're under contract, and you don't really have a lot of leeway in, like, you know, kind of recruiting your team or like picking what players that you have other than on draft day. And if you have that power for maybe like trades and stuff like that, but it is a lot harder to like pick your team like Saban does, which makes it either harder or easier depending on how you look at it. But the one thing about Belichick that he's always been able to do, especially with the Patriots and all of their Super Bowl championship years and stuff like that, it seems like there is no one better in the league at evaluating either young talent or veteran talent that seems like is on no one else's radar. I mean, how many players has he dug off of other teams, the draft, or like just off the bottom of the barrel, like guys that no one wants anymore, and just makes them stars? They play like studs, or guys that used to get in trouble and now they don't get in trouble, or guys that used to have issues and now they don't. It just seems like for whatever reason, they just play their best for him. And I don't know why, I don't know how, but to me, that's the impressive thing. Like, if Saban is the best recruiter, which I definitely think he is, even if you have all the best players, you still got to coach them. And I feel like that's the thing with Belichick. Sometimes he doesn't have all the best players, but he makes them seem like the best players because they just play on a different level for him. It's really amazing how many of those type of guys that he's just developed from nothing. I mean, obviously, example number 8 is Tom Brady himself.
I think that's a very good point.
Yeah, that was a really good breakdown of the whole deal, if you ask me. So
I definitely think it's something that our listeners will have to take both sides into consideration and see where they fall. So I think it's definitely a interesting debate because I feel like there's a lot of factors that make it extremely hard to win 6 championships in anything, college or pro.
I'm out of here.
All right, guys. So do you guys have anything else that you kind of want to say or anything else here before we wrap it up on episode 2?
No, I really got nothing. I think we covered about everything happening in football right now.
yeah, I would agree. I do have one more thing to say. Tom Brady's a system quarterback.
That is one thing that has been going up a lot today. That's one thing we can mention. I saw this stat today of Josh McDaniels. So listen to this one. From like his first stint with the Patriots as like offensive coordinator. So this is like pre-Broncos job for like 3 or 4 years here. He was first in points per game as offensive coordinator. And then his a year and a half with the Broncos, they were like 18th or 19th in points per game with him as obviously he wasn't offensive coordinator, but, calling a lot of plays, stuff like that. His year with the Rams, which I completely forgot about, his 1 year as the offensive coordinator of the Rams, they were 32nd in points. And then obviously every year that he's been back in New England for the past like 6 or 7 now, they've been first in points per game. So a lot of people are saying Josh McDaniels seems like a system coach that has to have Tom Brady in his system, which we can assess is either true or not. I don't know. We'll see, I guess, whenever he takes his Colts job.
I agree. I mean, it's just, I guess it will be a wait and see, but I hope
you can't necessarily judge him just off of the Broncos because I don't feel like he was given a fair shake with the whole Jay Cutler controversy and all that stuff that was going on then. But the stats kind of do speak for themselves, at least to this point.
Were you good?
Yeah.
It sounds like he's bobbling the mic.
Yeah, I did drop my mic.
Well, guys, if that concludes our discussion, I think we covered it all. Maybe forgot one thing. Rue, do you know?
No.
Does it have to do with like a key?
Key. Maybe it's on the tip of my tongue. I wouldn't want to cuff you, baby girl.
There it is. So, wrapping it up for myself, my 2 permanent co-hosts, Drake Kizer and Andrew Waters, who I call Rue because his name's Andrew, and at the end of
That's
Andrew,
what my mother calls me.
it's like the R-E-W at the end. Is it R-O-O or R-E-W? The world may never know. But
If we ask Jim, it's R-U-E.
So, again, signing off from myself, you have been listening to The Neutral Zone presented by the Feels Like 99 podcast.
Shut up and sit down.
Rue, say hi.
Hey.